We set this podcast up. First time ever. Rev's over in the chair. I'm gonna turn this around. I have no idea how this is gonna go, so here we go. What?
Is this YouTube?
There's our guy. Yeah.
All right, cool.
There's our guy. Let's see if we can get our chairs in there. Is there both chairs right there? Yeah.
Go back.
Backwards, huh?
Back into time.
Boom.
That looks good.
I like it. Who knows if anybody will even show up, but whatever. Making us seasick, dude. I feel like it's just like such a wide, tall shot. But whatever.
Can you change the? I guess it only has one.
Can we go like? No. It's gotta be like this. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. What is happening? Is that it?
You gotta go further back. Maybe that camera's in the way. Can you go on the table? Yeah.
Y'all, this is nuts. I don't even know what we're doing. There we go. I think that's good.
Yeah.
YouTube, we out here. Way out here. Yeah?
Turn it a bit. Yeah, there you go.
I feel good about it. Now we're just gonna do our thing, y'all. That's it. Okay. Ooh. Trying to go extra crispy today or what?
Can you get sound? Can you check levels, sound level? Check. 1, 2, mic. Check, mic. 1, 2, check.
Definitely got it.
To focus on my face.
It's going good. Yeah. It's on your eyeball.
Okay.
On your eyeball, bro.
You want to go sit down?
See, I feel like yours is farther away.
Yeah, it is. But I can go.
Well, I mean, it's up to you. It's however you want the shot. It's your shot, man. Your shot, bro. Check test. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Yep.
We good?
I mean,
Check test. 1 2 1 2 1 2. One, two, 1 2. So I can intro us and like just talk about the guide really quick and then just jump right in. I'll probably ask you like what your first setup looked like or what was your first experience like.
yeah.
And I may end up saying something about what would you change, you know?
Yeah.
If you first started, or what's the first piece of gear you'd invest in?
Yeah.
You know, just something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like gear always gets DJs excited.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of where I was thinking we would land today.
Okay.
I'm gonna pee too. How's that one?
It's good. Yeah.
It's no FX30, but it'll do.
Alright, this is gonna irritate me. Here we go. Yep.
Cool. Hit that record button.
Let me make sure you're getting levels. Top.
Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 test.
Yeah, that looks sick.
Let's go. Ready, camera 1. Ready, camera 2. Is it recorded? Okay. Ready, camera 3. Now just don't kick one.
Right. I was gonna say, is your phone on silent, but it's up there.
No, yeah. It's up there. Yeah. So let me think of how I should intro it. We do that because that's been a disaster in the past.
Yeah. Well, I mainly just want to make sure all the cameras are getting some audio, so it like is easy to sync.
Yeah. Oh, the things. Dang, dude, what do you got going on over there? Don't let it
That's
fall.
okay, no.
Watch it fall in the middle of the show.
Oh, it's going on that cable. Ugh, and the rug. Deal with it. Okay.
I think I'm going to say something like, if you're a DJ, it's like if you're a wedding DJ, it's likely you've spent hours and hours scrolling YouTube trying to figure out the perfect wedding reception setup. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about how to get started, the gear that can get you started, and the gear.
Maybe we should look at it as like your initial journey. Like day one, you decide you want to be a DJ. Here's some steps you can take. And then kind of the progression into when you should start getting that bigger, fancier stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I kind of want to talk about is just if you're interested in DJing using what you already have.
Yeah.
Like 2 iPhones with aux cords coming into like a little mixer that you might have got on eBay, you know? Like that's how I kind of started with CD players.
Yeah, and I started with the SB3 and Tidal.
Yeah. And then, you know, like if you bump up and get a controller, because if you're using your phone, you can just rock Spotify, you know? Like mix 2 Spotify songs together. And like one thing I started, I mean, we'll get into this, but
well, yeah, let's do it. All right, I'll get us going. I have no idea how many people are on YouTube, but let's just go for it. Vanity metrics be danged.
yeah.
All right. Ready? I'm gonna look into the camera and talk, and then we'll, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think that's wise? Just look into the camera and talk about the intro, because you'll just cut to us.
Yep.
After that's over.
You can look at whatever you want.
Yeah, okay. Ready, go.
I feel like we haven't done this in a
I
while.
know, we're out of practice. If you're just getting started as a wedding DJ, it is likely that you have scoured YouTube to try to find the right equipment to show up the day of the wedding with. You've probably spent time scrolling, looking at gear, analyzing gear. And in today's podcast, we're going to talk about how we would get started if we had to start it all over again, and the best kind of gear to just get going with. If this is something that's interesting to you, go ahead and hit like and subscribe to our channel. We would love that. But secondly, right here in the link below, we've actually curated a gear guide for you. It's good, better, and then the best of the stuff that we use. Hopefully it'll be helpful for you. You can download it in the description below, and let's get going. Rev!
What up?
What up, man?
How are you?
It's good to see you today, dude.
Yeah.
So if you were to start all over again in your like DJ journey, what's the first piece of gear that you would go out and grab?
Man, I think I would just use kind of what I already have, because if the DJ bug is biting me and I want to try it out, I mean, you can go to the moon on buying gear, but just getting the concept of mixing two songs together, I would use Spotify on my phone and then like borrow someone else's phone with two aux cords, maybe coming into a little mixer off eBay or something from Best Buy, wherever you get a mixer, and just mess around with
Sam's
it.
Club these days. Remember I sent you I sent you that video of that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever you got to start with, like keep the budget low and just make sure you enjoy it and you're kind of getting your feet wet with it, where you're putting two songs together. Like when I started out, I was using like a Sony Walkman CD player and my PlayStation 1. And
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How did you make that work?
I ran the two, I was running like a headphone cord to RCA, and then the RCA out of the PlayStation into like a big Radio Shack rotary knob mixer, and I would get the same song on both sides and line them up where it was like synced, and I was like, okay. Then there was no way to adjust pitch or time, or it was just like trying to find songs that went together and messing with it.
I feel like such a poser after hearing what you just said, because and that's like the truest form of DJing, and that's what I think I love about being a DJ so much, is like the art form in and of itself requires, there are no rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like just get going, and like hearing stuff like that from you, from Rob, from people like that just get.
I think if you're passionate about it, you just find some stuff at your house and like mess with it, and you can put some headphones on and you're just mixing sounds together. Like that's the goal.
I mean, my son, we've got this little like Hercules one that we've got in our background. We've got a couple of those at the house, and it's like Bluetooth, and now we're using that DJ app, that algorithm DJ app, and Elliot loves it, man. I mean, he just, the things that you can do right now are just like when you hear about putting two aux cords together and stuff. It's just so easy for people to get going nowadays.
Yeah, because you got to think, once you step up into the controller world, then you got to have a music library, and you could go the beat source route, and that's pretty easy to get like all of that streaming going on a controller. But I think just using like two iPhones starting out, as crazy as that sounds,
there's going to be people on the internet that are like, these two people are so crazy. There's no way I would do that.
Or even like an app like you're talking about, Algorithm and those DJ apps. You just mess around with it on like an iPad.
It's
or
free,
something.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like people ask me a lot. It's like, how do I get? It just seems like it's so expensive. How do I get into it? And it's like, it's really not. I mean, you can go get, if you have an iPad, you literally have all that you need. That's it. But that said, today I wanted to discuss what it would take for somebody to start doing private events, the gear that we would recommend that they buy, that they invest in, just to stop the scroll. I literally just want to save people hundreds of hours of time. And I think the first thing that I wanted to say is that it's like there's never a perfect thing. You and I talk about this all the time. We're constantly making little tweaks to the things that we have. I feel like we've landed on a pretty solid one now, but it's taken 4 years to just kind of tweak it out. Let me save you 4 years of time, YouTube, right now. Let's just talk it through. if I were starting all over, really the thing that I would invest in first is the audio experience has to be right. And you can get that done in a lot of ways, but I think you also have to kind of take a look at your limitations.
Yeah.
Like, what's your automobile situation?
Yeah. How are you going to move this stuff?
Exactly,
right?
toting it all around, you know? Like when I first got started, I had a truck. And so, man, I could pile as much in the truck as I wanted to do. But some of the people that might be listening to this, maybe they got a Scion XB 2006.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they got a Corolla.
Yeah.
I don't know what their situation is, but so that said, I would probably go the 112 route with that's it at the beginning, and then a table.
What's the 112 again? I don't know
like
what that is.
like an EV speaker that's a 112, like a 12-inch
Okay.
speaker.
A powered.
Yeah, powered situation, one on each side,
Yeah.
on tripods. Absolutely no tripod skirts.
Yeah.
Zero. Don't do it. But the tripods and a table, not a 6-foot table, but Walmart sells a really good one. Like, just go buy
Yeah.
like a 3-foot table. I'd go all black
Yeah.
first. What do you think?
I like that. The speakers are probably going to be black, so if you match everything black together, it would look good.
Yeah. I'd go all black there, and I would invest in a really good quality wireless microphone.
Yep.
So I would step up and I'd spend about at least $500. And I would get a good one. That way you can grow with that. you
Yeah.
know? So those are the two things, man. I mean, and you know, that set of speakers will cost you $400 a piece, depending on the controller that you buy. I mean, we've got DJ teams that started out, even myself, SB3, that thing was $300.
Yeah.
And I'm off to the races, man. And that setup right there, Rev, made me, I don't know, $20,000
Yeah.
in my first year.
Let's
Just
say
that.
like your beginner setup costs $1,000, $1,200 maybe.
Yeah,
You'd make that back with 1 or 2 weddings.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And let me give people like the secret sauce. And we've talked about this some before. Is if you don't have the funds to buy all that gear right now, just go out and get clients and promise that this is the gear that you're gonna have, and do a retainer.
Yeah.
So have them pay 50% up front, and then in the next 4 months you're gonna perform that wedding. So go use that retainer money to buy that gear.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. I mean,
You
I
can
made
even
it back.
rent speakers.
You can rent. You can get going.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I would do is I would invest in a set of speakers that are great, that can grow with you, that you can add low into. So then the next thing would be subs, a pole in between, and then we can kind of start talking about setup or whatever. But
Yeah.
What do you think, man? I mean, like,
I like it. And then, speakers especially, you can sell those used and always upgrade and kind of bump it up to where you want to get. But like you were saying, you got to be able to move it around, and you might end up, one of the dilemmas we're in right now is van versus trailer.
Yeah.
And trailer's pretty versatile.
Right.
You can use a trailer a lot, but the problem with that is getting it in and out of places.
Mhm.
It's a little cumbersome and tricky to back in, and
yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah,
might
and
get
I
made
mean,
fun of.
we've dude, I gotta tell you a story. So when I first started, I had the truck, and then I bought a little 4x6 enclosed like nose trailer,
Yeah.
and it was enclosed. It had a back door, but the back door was like 30 inches wide,
Yeah.
and then 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
And the first booth that I built that was on wheels, we'll link a guide. We'll put a picture at this point in the podcast. We'll
Yeah.
put a picture there. And I built it, dude. I was so proud of it. And I built it too tall to fit into the door.
Yeah.
So I still had to pick the booth up and put it into the bed of the truck.
Yeah.
And all of the rest of the gear would be in the trailer. But when I would show up there was a certain venue here in town that it's on Dixon Street, and for those that don't live in Northwest Arkansas, Dixon Street is like the main drag in Fayetteville, And when it gets covered up on a Saturday night, there is no way you can turn around.
Nope.
So what I had to do one day, dude, is I literally stopped traffic and I unhooked my trailer. It was so light, I could pick it up and turn it into the parking lot and physically walk it into the venue area so that I could load all my crap back.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, so we're far from that day, but I mean, those are the kinds of things that you got to do when you first get started.
Yeah.
What
I think you should kind of tailor it, and you know, you're gonna be excited. You want to go DJ, and you've been practicing maybe in your room, and you got speakers, but like, take some time to figure out what's gonna fit in your car. Whatever car you have, make sure it's gonna fit, because like you said, you get building stuff and then it doesn't fit in the door, and it's like, that's the worst.
Yeah, and the only time that you figure that out is literally when you need to be loading up.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happened to me on that day. I remember it.
Yeah.
I had to go down, take this trip way down to Fort Smith, and I was hosed, man. I had to put it in the truck. It was crazy. But so from there, you know, what I would say then is then start thinking about, okay, now let's dress this up a little bit. Do I need just a foldable facade? People tend to go that route. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think it allows you to clean up your area a little bit. There are so many, we'll link up, and there's a bunch in that guide of different facade styles. There's some that have tables on the top. I know you have one of those for some of your private events. I know we have a couple that have just like a top and then the facade on the front. Those can be dressed up in a lot of different ways. You can pop light behind it. So then, you know, I would go there first, and then the next thing, obviously, you're going to have lighting.
Yeah.
What would be your first set of lights that you would buy as a private event DJ?
Some kind of wash, a color wash, you know, LED that can change, and if it has built-in sound program, that's great. I went with the Wash Effects 2s. Like, it just so happened I bought those before I ever knew you, and then you had the same one. So I think it's kind of like a very good starting light. Just get 2 of them. It'll fill a room with color. You can plug them in whenever the dancing starts, and they just go. And
so what I hear you saying is that if you had $600, you would not buy a gig bar.
Absolutely not. Dude, I don't know at what point I became anti-gig bar, but when I see them out in the wild, I just want, I need a flamethrower.
You're like, let me have a BB gun and shoot that freaking laser off the top.
I know people that have them, and
I
they
do
probably
too.
listen to this and are like,
come on.
Rev's a hater.
We're not hating on people. We're just trying to level you up.
I want you to up your game, yes.
We're just trying to level you up. If you have $600, do not go buy a gig bar. And the reason why is because it's distracting, and it doesn't get the job done, and it aesthetically, it looks like you literally have a robot attached to your head on the top.
Yeah.
And I bought a gig bar. Let's just be straight up. YouTube podcast world, like, I bought a gig bar for my first 10 months of operation, and I sold it, and then invested in Wash Effects 2s. And look, it's like the Wash Effects 2, they're so bright, man. Like, they're so bright. And we have had those for 4 years now. We've run hundreds of events through them, and the first one that broke was the one that you broke.
I fixed
a couple
it.
of weeks ago.
I did not break it. I fixed it. And I will show a picture of me with this dissection of a LED light in the middle of the booth.
Yeah. You have that? You should put
I
it
have
on
the picture.
You have to put it on video.
Well, let me tell you what happened with it quickly.
Okay.
I'm setting up, everything's good, and I go and I notice when I plug it in that it's in sound mode. So I go to the back panel to push the button to switch it over to DMX.
Right.
And the whole button panel just pushes into the unit. Like, there's no screws holding it somehow, like they had fallen out. So the LED, like, little screen and all the buttons just go into the light. And I was like, cool. So I'm like,
right before the wedding.
I'm freaking out. Yeah, there was like 30 minutes till ceremony.
No.
and I still had to set up lights up and stuff, and nothing was connecting and working, and I was freaking out. And you were in like Little Rock or Conway or
I
something.
remember that now. Yeah.
So I was trying to get a hold of Brian. I was like, dude, can you bring me a new LED light? And then so I like said screw it, and I started taking screws out of the bottom of the light and was able to reach in there and get it to DMX mode how I wanted it. And then I put the DMX Donner in it with it all taken apart, and it was like syncing up right. So I was like, all right, we're good. I just got to get it back together. But yeah.
Here's the funny story about that is that a friend of ours needed wash lights for their Easter program last week. And I forgot about that thing, and I sent that light with them.
Oh no!
But no. The good news is they had 3 more,
okay,
and they were good. But I was like, oh man, if Rev knew this, he would be really mad at me.
And I always text one of my buddies, Mike Romero, and I always say, you know, one day I will have a smooth wedding, but today is not that day. And it's like every time something happens.
Well, and so like that's the thing. Like, to get us onto the gear, it's like investing in the right gear is the only way to go.
Yeah.
Like, get the right tools if you can do it, and stay away from gig bars, everybody.
Yeah, and one thing I would say is, you know, let's say you bought your speakers and your tripod stands. You can mount your wash lights on top of those speakers, and that's gonna look way better than a gig bar, and you don't have to go buy some kind of truss or light stand. Just put them up on your speakers, and it's a clean look, and you get the lights up in the air, and people will like it.
Yeah, I love it. Before we went to our gravity stands, I used tripods for the wash FX, and we had clamps, and I literally had to like invert the clamp because of the way that it would sit on the light.
Oh yeah.
And so I inverted the clamp and like just rigged it up in a way that it would stay. Would stay, and I would put the tripod behind the column so that it would be like peeking out like they do now.
Yeah.
And it was a great. Like,
that's still how I do mine.
Yeah.
I have these old. I don't know who made the tripods, but they're, I think, like zip tied in certain places and beat up. But I just stick the wash effects on the top, and, you know, like raise it up behind whatever column speakers I'm using.
Yeah, I mean that's the move. So like that's kind of that next place that I would go. And I mean 90% of the weddings that we did in the first 3 years, that's all we had.
Yeah.
That plus my next piece that I would buy is uplights.
Yeah.
I would buy uplights. The first set that I bought, if you're a solo op, I highly recommend them. They're expensive, but Ape Labs are amazing because their ecosystem is so great. You can set them and forget them, and their sound active mode is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, incredible, but I would not go that route if I were doing what we do with both, because their sound active mode is trash.
And the app on the phone.
It's so bad,
I don't know if
dude.
you ever use that.
I never have, because it's terrible.
Oh, it's real bad.
It's terrible.
You gotta go sound switch. Like, if you're not using Ape Labs, because theirs is legit, but if you're using like Sound Switch,
Gosh.
I think both lighting is a way to go. Like, you gotta have some kind of DMX software.
There's a big trade there, right? So if you're getting Ape Labs and you're going up lights, then, you know, I mean, dude, eight Ape Lab lights with a case is like $3,000.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But I'm telling you right now, they dial, and they are so sturdy, and they're so great.
Yeah.
And that's what we use. So the reason why I think I would go speakers first, then I would upgrade sort of the look right there, and then of course I'd go up lights, is because now you're at a place where your reception is, you can charge more.
Yeah.
And so, like, we've talked about this on other podcasts. We'll put a link in this part, but the packages that we offer now, we want everybody to have uplights because it looks great in photos, and it's just super cool, but it just adds a little bit extra flair to the people that you're trying to do the event for, when you can say, yeah, we have uplights, this is what we do, we put them every 6 to 8 feet around the room, and it looks like this, and they look great. So like, that's the piece. And so you just have to play with it and say, you know, if I buy these uplights, like a set of 8 uplights from both is like $800.
Yeah.
I can't remember. And so, man, I mean, you make that back in 4 to 5 events, and you're off and running. So get 2 sets of that, and now you're good.
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Like, where you go?
Yeah, that's literally what I did when I decided I was going to do weddings. I went to Guitar Center and I was like, I need speakers. And I talked to Mike Romero. He was working there. That's how we became friends. And I was going to get powered QSCs, like the mains, 15s, and some subs. And he was like, dude, that's, I mean, first of all, QSC was like back ordered real bad. They haven't, their production is like slowed down or something. At this time, this was like 2 or 3 years ago. And he was like, you need to check out these Bose column arrays, the L16 Pro. And I was like, I thought those column arrays were like cheesy. Right. Maybe you use it if you're playing acoustic guitar in a bar somewhere. And then he plugged one in and I was like, holy cow, like that sounds good. It was just one. Right. And he's like, imagine 2 of those. And I was like, yeah, put me down. And like, those are pricey speakers. Yeah. And I got a Guitar Center credit card. I got approved, and I put it on there, and I was like, I'll pay this off over time. It was like 0% interest. So Guitar Center does some deals sometimes. If you can get approved for a credit card, make sure it's 0% interest, and you can pay it off. And that's an easy way to get some gear and get going. Yeah, without a bunch of money like up front.
There's another pro tip. So there's a couple of companies that do this kind of thing. So Sweetwater is a winner with that, so they usually run that deal. But there's another one, Zounds. It's like 2 Z's, Zounds. They even do like a certain limit based on doing an auto draft from your checking account.
Oh, interesting.
It's super dope.
Yeah.
Like about a year ago, we were in a bind, and I was working in different capital things. Like I had a bunch of invoices out. I was waiting on money. I was like, oh no, we need like, you know, a set of speakers. I think I spent $5,000, and Zounds did that for me. And dude, it was awesome. That's so cool. Like, it's a little pro tip. You can do that on different things. Like, as long as you're, and I don't know that they even run a credit like deal. I don't even know. Like, I don't know anything about.
We're not advocating you go into credit card debt.
Don't
0% interest. Like, do some research on that, and then like make your monthly payments.
Right. That's not what the show is about. Yeah. But it is just like, hey, trying to keep the game going. You know? But yeah, I would go uplights, and then the next step that I would take. So all of that right there, dude. Like, if somebody did that, they could make serious side hustle money. Yeah. I mean, we're talking 25 to 45 grand a year just with that. Yeah. And a ceremony rig that we have a video about. You should just buy what we have. Yeah. Just do that. And you're good.
So if we're looking at this as like a pyramid, our foundation, would you say, is controller, and then the next would be speakers, right? Yeah. Because there might be some gigs you don't need lighting at all. Yeah. You could do some restaurant grand opening or something. They don't want lights. You're just going to be providing music. Yep. So that's what the base level controller, 2 powered speakers. Yep. And a microphone.
That's it.
You could get by with like a wired Shure SM58,
$97. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would do. And then if you're going to do private events and weddings, then your DJs, they just sleep on this part, especially when they're new, is that it needs to look good. Like you want to invest in the aesthetic. And so I get so much hate for this on social media, like, why you got all the white stuff? Like, because it freaking sells, dude. I mean,
these people are going to look at pictures the rest of their lives, and they don't want to see your orange extension cord running across the floor. No. So make it look good if you're doing a wedding.
That's right. Like, so that would be the investment. Like, if you're just feeling like, you know, doing a corporate event, cool. That's all you need. And then, but if you're stepping that aesthetic up, just think about that. Like, think about that look. And then what kind of car you got? Like, if your car is small, you don't want to buy 18-inch QSC subs. Like, that's a bad idea. So I mean, and let's talk about column arrays for a moment. Yeah. Something to think about. Then your next level, what we would say is that's like your good setup. The middle setup where I would land is I would go column array because of the versatility and the portability.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in spaces like we're in, where typically it's a space that can kind of hold about 3 to 350 max, column arrays generally get the job done really well. And that would be like Evolve 50s, LD Maui 28s, Bose 16 Pros.
Yeah.
What else? JBL makes some.
RCF is making
RCF
one.
makes some.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. You said JBL.
Mhm.
I mean, like they're literally all at Guitar Center. Just go
Just go
talk
get
and check them out. Or if there's one of these music expos in your area, you could travel and all the speaker companies set up their stuff.
Yeah.
And you can hear them before you buy something.
Yep.
But I feel like I was gonna say something.
Well, I'll do a shameless plug of what we use. We run LD. LD has been rolling with us since the very beginning. They partnered with us as a distributor. And shout out Adam Hall Group. Those guys are amazing to deal with. Number one, when we order something from them, it is at my doorstep in 2 days. It's crazy. So we love them. We run Maui 44s now on everything, a white set, a black set. And
They sound so
they
good.
sound so good. They get the job done.
Yeah.
But our 28s, man, I cannot say enough good thing about them. We're just at a place where we needed to go bigger. But if I were doing it all over again, that's probably the set that I would get.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is your average wedding, I think for most people is going to be, let's say 100, 200 people in that round or like realm. And those mid-sized column arrays can handle that. If you're getting up 350, you're going to have to step it up.
Yeah.
And I would suggest you go rent some bigger speakers just for that one event, and that way you don't have to invest a lot of money in it. You make sure it sounds good, and then you give the speakers back and keep doing your 100 to 200 people wedding.
Yeah, I think what you're saying though too is like so good is that people like just say that's what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you start getting into things too quickly where you've got to scale up too fast and you have to buy gear. It's just not a great way to sustain your business.
You're gonna have these huge speakers that might, blast people too much.
Yeah.
I mean, you can dial them back, but your load in is gonna be not fun.
Yeah.
So
you gotta
stick
have
with
two
what's
trailers.
adequate for 90% of your gigs, and then if you get something big, either have them provide better sound or go rent it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then kind of mid-level, then I would invest more along the lines of beefing up your audio, like always. And then inside of that, it's like systems. So your mixer, build a rack, make things just easier for yourself to where it's more efficient. And you'll start, the more events that you do, the more when you get done at midnight, 12:30, the more you're gonna think to yourself, dang,
So it's faster.
You'll start pulling stuff down quick.
Yeah.
And so like a way to do that would be like invest in a audio snake, invest in a, your cabling setups, make your light cable, IEC, a long cable that plugs into a banana plug at the bottom. Like it just, like those are the things that people.
I'm hoping, and I'm going to speak this into existence, that in the near future, we're going to be no more cables. I mean, the lights we're running are already mostly battery powered and wireless DMX, and then all we got to do is someone's going to make a column array that is completely battery powered and wireless audio somehow.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, this, like,
they're working on it.
The stuff that has come out, like the 12-inch speaker sets have come out now.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Evolve just stepped into that game, and I know Alpha Theta, whatever, Pioneer, I don't know what the brand is, they came out with one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy, man. And I mean, you obviously have a backup, like it'll plug in if you needed to, but I can't imagine. Like I just, it
Yeah.
would be so dope. So, okay. So I would, mid-level, I would go there. And then the next thing that I would do is I would go all in on a built out facade and step your controller up. Like
Yeah.
I would go something that has stems, buttons. I would go something that can, like a Rev 7 or
Yeah.
if you don't want to do motorized platters, go like FLX 10,
Yeah.
something like that.
One thing that's like pretty crucial is whatever controller you're gonna use, if you're doing like serious events, it needs to have XLR outputs.
Yeah.
Because some
Why?
of the,
Why? Tell us.
it's just kind of the standard when you get up to those bigger speakers, all the inputs are XLR.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna be wanting to switch from RCA into, like, just go with XLR outputs. And like some of the lower end controllers have RCA outputs, and that's fine for, you know, at your house or if you're messing around or some small parties. But the bigger stuff, you want to have XLR.
I would agree. And just because, like, I've found that the RCA, no matter how great the quality cable it says that it is, those are the ones that have failed.
Yeah.
When we still have a couple of DJs that run RCA out, and they are not doing that the rest of the year. Like we just have too many failures, and
Yeah.
they go, the cables, they just go down. They're just
Yeah.
they're not as good. So yeah, I love that. I think it's the right move. I would go that way, and then we have a couple of tutorial videos people can look at or review videos, but we run a Pro X control tower or a Hunter B3 workstation in different colors, and man, I've been super happy with
Yep.
those. And good old Uncle Joe Bunn, he's got one too, man. Bunn
Yeah.
Command Center, that thing looks dope. Joe Bunn, if you see this video, just know we're huge fans, and you can send those our way, and we will take a look at
Yeah,
that. But
we'll try it out.
yeah, but whoreboard for bigger, bigger setups, and that's when you begin to get into that range of just being able to charge a lot more. Like your
One
value
thing I
just is
did
different.
when I started up here, I had the dreaded 6-foot table, the plastic one, but I bought a scrim just for the table, not the speaker stands, but like a black scrim to go on the table, and like all my stuff was black, and it looked presentable for like what it was, and you know, it was easy to move. So, you know, those 6-foot tables or a 5-foot, I think mine's actually a 5-foot table. And that's another thing. How you fit in the table in your car.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Like, does it needs to be one of those ones that break down.
Yeah.
Like these are all the things that, people just don't think about.
Yeah.
And we're just, again, trying to save you from the scroll. Like we're just trying to give it to you.
Yeah.
Straight up. So like that's where I would go. I would then just upgrade the look, and then begin to just continue to elevate your experience for people.
Yep.
Like as many things that you can add on. Like we've just introduced, and they've been around forever, but we're just introducing the CO2 cannon and photo booth and those kinds of things. But if it were me, and if I were starting all over again, I would focus on a simple reception and ceremony setup. Keep it simple. You don't have to go crazy. You can make a ton of money as a solo op with that right there.
Yeah.
That setup. Then start adding better audio, better lighting, and then step up into that like totally customized situation, and you're good. There's your business plan.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Super great to be with you guys today.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add? Like, I don't know, man. I feel good about where we landed with.
No, I mean, I think that covers all of it as far as gear wise. And in some of our other podcasts, we've talked about how you present yourself and your brand and all. That's a whole nother area. And then, giving the couples or the business, whatever, the best experience. So once you have that baseline gear, you should really focus on, how am I presenting myself as a brand? How am I interacting with people? How am I confidence on the microphone, which you have guides for that to get good on the mic. write some scripts out, what you're gonna say, know what you're gonna say before you turn the mic on.
Oh,
So all that, it just comes with DJing and presenting yourself and being an entertainer and making sure people are happy.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
No doubt about it. It's all about that experience, and it's just going to continue. If people can just invest in that part right there, what you just noted, like, you're going to win in business.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen for you, and I love it. If this kind of stuff is what you're after, if you need some extra support with that, just like what Rev just mentioned, all of our guides are again in the show notes and the description. And man, we'd love to have you guys on our email list so that we can send out our newsletter every week to just level up your DJ game, give you as many tips as we can. But until next time, we'll see you. Thanks so much.
See you. And we're done.
Oh!
Let's see if anyone's on all YouTube.
Look at them.
1.
Thanks for hanging in there. Later. Man, 45 minutes. Let's go.